nation, concerning the economy, concerning yourself, concerning social activities. So I would ask you to grab your cup of coffee, sit by your television, sit by your radio, call a friend, call a colleague to listen in as we discuss Ghana, as we discuss issues concerning our country. What issues are on board today? Well, this week we heard the Minister of Interior announced to us that post-2020-2024 elections, some violences that were announced, some deaths, some injuries that were announced. Finally, a report has been produced. A task force that had been put together has produced a report, and that report has been submitted to the president with some recommendations, i.e. some compensations to be made and some prosecutions also to be made. Is this too late in time, or is this just going to be one of the banner issues discussed, thrown away, or we are really going to see progress? Beyond this, would we now begin to see vigilance? Should we begin to see commitment during elections in 2028 and beyond, or would this now become the pattern? What happens to the story between Hawa Kumsin and the current sitting MP? Was she attacked or was she not attacked? These are issues that we would be discussing. Again, the CHRAJ, the Commission for Human Rights and Administrative Justice, this week announced that the former or the ex-Gra commissioner, Amishadai, has been disqualified from holding public office for the next 5 years. And this follows its judgment on a complaint that they received in 2022 to look into issues of fraud and issues of circumventing the Public Procurement Act in giving single source, which seems not to be going away from us. This week we heard that the Naimos team had an issue with a sitting member of parliament who currently is at the High Court, and there were clashes between the people in the town and the Naimos in some fatal clashes. Had it not been for the emotional intelligence of the military team, media personnel who were en route to OWUSU, who were nearly attacked by a mob who we believe to be involved in the Galamsey. We'll look into those issues. Then finally, we will look at the president's direction asking for a probe into the All-African Games that were organized last year. I think the 13th All-African Games that were organized. A probe has been asked to be initiated to determine whether the funds that were used were properly appropriated or if any misgivings had happened. This morning, this is what would be engaging myself and my panel in studio. Those who also join online would help in and would delve into the issues so that we would bring to your doorstep what you need to know. Stay tuned, don't go away. We'll be right back after this quick break.
Current Agenda is brought to you by Bank of Africa, the African bank with global reach. Bank of Africa, as strong as a group, as close as a partner. And National Petroleum Authority, NPA, where customer care meets excellence.
For decades, we have helped businesses connect with their trade partners all over the globe. From Ghana to Burkina Faso, Côte d'Ivoire, Benin, Togo, Senegal, China, Morocco, France, Netherlands, and many other countries. We have made it possible to bring Ghana to the world. We have brought small and medium businesses closer to their customers across the regions in Ghana with our SME support facilities. We have brought relief and smiles to the faces of families with our employee personal loans. With our cutting-edge technology and digital support, we take the burden of complex thinking off you, making life simple. That is who we are, as close as a partner. Bank of Africa. We are indeed the African bank with the global reach.
history. The moment when excellence in Ghanaian journalism takes center stage. Get ready for the 29th GJA Media Awards under the leadership of Albert Kwabena Jomfo, President of the Ghana Journalists Association. For the first time ever, the prestigious award ceremony goes to the historic city of Kumasi. Join us at the Menchia Palace under the distinguished patronage of His Majesty Otumfuo Osei Tutu II, Asantehene, on Saturday, November 8, 2025 at 12:30 p.m. Theme: Safeguarding Ghana's Future, the role of the media in promoting peace, security, and the fight against Galamsey. Keynote speaker is His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, President of the Republic of Ghana. Special guest, Right Honorable Speaker Alban Sumana Kingsford Bagbin, Speaker of Parliament of the Republic of Ghana, and His Lordship Justice Paul Bafuboni, the Acting Chief Justice of Ghana. Alexa Paudade, CEO of the KGL Group, who are headline sponsors of the awards. Come, let's celebrate professionalism, integrity, and excellence in journalism, the pride of our nation. The 29th GJA Media Awards, honoring the storytellers, shaping. Remember, it's at the Menchia Palace, Kumasi, for the 29th DJA Media Awards, celebrating excellence, inspiring the future.
This is Cooking with Game Changers, and I am your host, Daniel Etin Effiong. I hope you're ready as I am. Cooking with Game Changers! Meet the judges. Am I a bagger? Dr. Cafe, Captain Toba. Let's meet our resident chef, Chef Rotimi. Game Changers, are you ready? Let's get cooking! Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Game changer is
certain terms, the attack on the team of security officers who are being assigned to help deal with the menace of Galamsey, which has to be dealt with robustly. Nobody has denied the attack, and we must all condemn that attack. The people of Ghana look to this house as a beacon of hope. And it is our collective duty to set a standard that reflects the values of our great nation. Our actions and inactions carry immense power, effect, and impact on Ghanaians and the world at large. I have therefore instructed the Office of the Clerk and the Legal Services Office to provide all the needed support to the investigation by the Ghana Police Service within the framework of the 1992 Constitution, the laws of this country, and the standing orders of the House. I am made to understand that the member has voluntarily submitted himself to the Criminal Investigation Department of Ghana Police to assist in the investigation. In fact, there are so many members of Parliament that are under investigation, and my office has never shielded any member of parliament.
Well, welcome back to Current Agenda, your most authoritative news analysis program. Welcome back to studio. As mentioned earlier, this program is proudly sponsored by Bank of Africa and the National Petroleum Authority. Bank of Africa says that it has a product called Quick Fix. The Quick Fix loan is a loan meant to assist you in difficult times, meant to make things easy for you. If you're having a problem with your car engine, your car is broken down, you need a quick fix. If it's an educational fees you need to pay, it's a quick fix. If the wife is in the hospital, has given birth and needs to pay for you to bring her home, quick fix. The quick fix loan is that solution for you. So go to any Bank of Africa branch. You can call them on 030-2429-333 or visit their website on www.boaghana.com and engage Fafa, where you would get all your questions and your answers responded to. Remember that terms and conditions apply. Also, the National Petroleum Authority says that if you have any complaint, reach out to their call center. If you feel you have bought fuel and you have been served a lower quality, or if you believe that the service that you received was not up to standard, don't just complain and go. Reach out to the National Petroleum Authority, who would pick up your complaints and follow up to improve on the quality of service delivery and the quality and quantity of fuel being served to customers. So please make it a point. You have 48 hours to make your complaint and the team will pick it up. The NPA and Bank of Africa are our partners for this morning. Well, in studio with me, I have ISHAQ IBRAHIM Esquire. He's a lawyer.
Good morning to the good people of Ghana watching us from home. Right.
Once you have mentioned your colleague here, I have to introduce your colleague here. So I also have my brother, EMMANUEL KOTIN. He's my beard brother. EMMANUEL KOTIN is the Executive Director for Africa Center for Security and Counterterrorism. Ima, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you
I'm
for
still
having
praying.
me.
I see you.
Those are the blessings
yes.
of God, so it will come.
I see a lawyer, ISHAQ, you shaved yours.
Yes.
You don't want to grow it.
Ideally, I shouldn't be saving because they say he's a son of the prophet, and as a Muslim, I should be aspiring to that. Nevertheless, I think I look better without the beard.
No,
so
we need to judge. So we leave the beard for us.
Okay.
We need to say whether you look better or not. Anyway, also joining us on Zoom, I believe, is Professor Eric ABAVARE. He's the UTAG president for the KNUST chapter. Prof, if you can hear me, good morning. Okay, so if Prof comes back, we would connect him. So let me start with KOTIN. So we'll start with the post-election violence. We'll start with the post-election violence. I mean, I'm saying this because of your expertise in terms of security and counterterrorism. How did you feel when you finally heard that some active steps have been taken with regards to the 2022 and 2020 and 2024 elections as a security expert?
Well, thank you for having me. And once again, good morning to my brother. And good morning to our cherished listeners. In fact, it's because of you people we are here. We salute you this weekend, and we wish you the blessings of the weekend. In fact, I think as a country, there are situations we need to unite as one and leave politics out of it. And one of such circumstances I'm proud to speak about is violence of any form, especially electoral violence where casualties are involved. The bottom line is it could be any of us or it could be any of us relations. So to me, I think we have to give the NDC some kind of credit for initiating these investigations. I have a bit of difficulty when it happened in 2020 NPP was in government. I think my senior brother, Ambrose, was the interior minister. At first, they mischaracterized this incident as armed robbery, and the families didn't take that kindly when every evidence shows otherwise. So later on, they had to eat the humble pie, if you recall, Ex-Gra, when the interior minister went to apologize to the family, and then subsequently, we had some statistics coming up to the casualties and who was involved and whatever. But investigation stalled. When pressure was mounted and questions were being asked, we're not talking about logistical challenges. When the interior minister mentioned we didn't have the cold case department because of that forensic and ballistic scene preservation, especially when side crimes occurs, you realize that we have always treated it anyhow. And Ex-Gra, you know, in our status, especially criminal cases, you have to prove beyond reasonable doubt. And the onus is even on the state to prove, not the accused. You see, so I think there are a lot of useful lessons we can drive from this starting point, because the president still indicated when he was sworn in he was going to initiate investigations. And indeed, it happened. And a little under 9 months, we have the reports. And guess what, Ex-Gra? A lady who has been tagged the mother of electoral violence in Ghana, Honorable Howard Kumson, was exonerated. And that's very, very refreshing. It shows that the committee simply did its work, and it didn't matter the political color or hat one was wearing or wore. You understand? I heard the MP who was accused of lying before the panels that no such event took place, hit him back hardly, making all kind of conjecture that she never said this or that before the committee. The issue was that witnesses were not prepared to come and testify. That doesn't mean the incident doesn't happen. Hello, lawyer. If witnesses who will collaborate and confirm that such as any jurisdiction, you'll be let off the hook. So what has the committee gone wrong here? So I think we've now moved beyond personalities, you understand? We are now in the realm of national building. Let's put the politics behind us. Don't let us try to score political points, or probably she's feeling that that will not inure to her political capital in the next elections in the face of the evidence. And let's move on. Now, the issue of institutional and security accountability is also key here. And I'm happy the committee stated clearly that 7 out of the 15 deaths were as a result of our security agencies. I think 4 on the part of the police in 4 operations, no, in 3 operations, and the military 3 out of 3. So now we need to be asking ourselves how we put in place these security task forces when security challenges arises. Electoral activities should never involve the military. The police and other allied internal security agencies are equally regimental, and they can bear customs, they bear weapons. So if there is a challenge in that area, let's look at it and fix it. But the all jack fit all scenario we've always done in the past, where we feel that the military are more superior, and when they lead an operation, there will be favorable outcome, is neither here or there. It has rather given us the reverse. And I say this because if you look at the training of the military and their role, technically, they are to protect us externally. They are to fight our external aggressors. There's a reason the Ghana Armed Forces is not a service. and the police is a service. It means that the police is human-centered, the Ghana Armed Forces is not.
Right.
So if you look at the scheme of things, if you bring a military into an internal security operations, they will see you and I, who are civilians, as the enemy. And you know, in tactical and operational terms, when you confront an enemy, what you do to the enemy. That is why we get some of these things repeating. Another thing we need to look at is the disguise of national security, where we dump so many military personnel at national security and at the presidency, and use them for all manners of covert operations. You don't even know whether such operations are for national interest or personal interest. What will 700 plus military personnel be doing at the office of the president? Technically, it's an investigative and intelligence-led organization. Is that not it? If they have any challenges on any kind of operation, that is when you make requests to the appropriate security agencies you feel they are better suited for such an operation. It shouldn't be the case that we have a stand force army at the office of the president or national security, and they are the whims and caprices of any politician. We are diminishing and destroying our institutions. And the other aspect we sincerely have to look at in the scheme of all these things is that we must make sure, given this report, everything that the committee recommended is implemented to the latter.
Right.
It cannot be the case that civilian to civilian, when we have them, we prosecute them, and security to security, we don't do that. It doesn't endanger trust in the eyes of the citizenry. And you know where our democracy is heading towards? Because of the lack of trust. If we don't take care, people may not even go to vote, because people are not seeing the benefit of queuing and going to vote. What we see under this Republican Constitution is that we merely go and change leaders, nothing changes. And it looks as if when we get power, we are not looking at what we can contribute to the country that will inure to the overall benefit of everybody. We are looking at what can benefit me and my family. And that's happening. There's no accountability. We don't enforce our laws. And more often than not, punishment we give to such offenders are not deterrent enough. Look, Ex-Gra and my other colleagues online, especially Professor ABAVARE, I was with you last week. I salute you and the good people of Kumasi. You see, when I was driving, I asked myself two questions. MPP said they have done so much roads.
So
I'm concluding.
As I mentioned earlier, Professor ABAVARE, he is the UTAG chapter, the president for UTAG at the KNUST chapter. Prof, good morning.
Good morning.
I hope you're doing well this morning.
Certainly, I'm good.
Right.
And good morning to the panelists as well. And my brother over there. Thank you.
Right. And I also have with me Dr. Abdul Jalilu. He is a lecturer at the University of Ghana, the Political Science Department. Doc, good morning. Doc, I think you are muted. You have to mute.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Good morning, and how are you doing?
I'm good, Doc.
And
all right.
Good morning to my friend Emmanuel. It's been a long time.
Yeah. All right, so I have the doctor and the professor online, and I have the lawyer and then the security expert in line. Anyway, so KOTIN, 1 minute so you land. Yeah.
I made these examples because look at our roads. Government devote a lot of resources, award contracts to a Ghanaian contractor. The contract is executed, fully paid. And the 6 months, there are a lot of potholes. I will even say fish ponds, and nobody is held accountable. Nobody. And such people are still holding offices and drawing salaries. So why would the person not repeat same? So in conclusion, I think the critical recommendations they made was crowd control management and how we need to train our security agencies, especially the police, in crowd control management. And for crowd control management, it's tried knowledge that the military don't have it because their caveat is that do before you complain because of the serious regimental nature of it. So it's a starting point. Kudos to the president living up to his word, and I think that we all need to commend him. If any other president have done this, we ought to commend. It's about time as a country we don't demonize good initiatives in the name of politics.
Thank you. So our current agenda is live on GTV, GBC News, and also live on Radio Ghana. You can reach us on our WhatsApp line 053 110 1315, 053 110 1315. So you can also join in the discussion with your comments. You can go to our Facebook page, our YouTube page, all our pages, and leave your comments there, and we'll do well to read them on the show. Now, on the violence, just a summary of the report. In 2020, there was the number of cases reported were 6. So 6 cases were reported. Out of these six cases, 8 resulted in death. So we had 8 people dying out of these 6, and 34 being injured. So 8 deaths and 34 injuries. The main causes, as you can see on your screen, was that there was a use of live ammunition by the police and military, as KOTIN mentioned, and then there was poor command and crowd control or crowd management, like KOTIN mentioned, and these resulted in the 34 injuries and the 8 deaths. The recommendations made by the committee is to compensate the victims, for the police to be retrained, for the cold case unit of the police to continue investigating prosecutions and to investigate the cases, and for prosecutions to continue to go on. Now in 2024, again, there were 6 cases in 2024, and the deaths reported were 7. So 7 people died in the 2024 election as a result of the 2024 elections, and 6 people were injured. 6 people were injured. I think it was 2024 that we decided not to make the military go to our polling stations, and we had only the police. So it seemed to have worked on the injury side, even though the death side still remained relatively the same. The main causes were armed civilian confrontations, and then the military misuse of force and poor coordination. I think there were instances where they said military were on standby, so if there was any need, they would call the military in. So, because I think I saw a few videos of people actually even charging on the military. The recommendations are that the fugitives, those who have run away, should be arrested, and then victims should also be compensated. Then strengthen election security planning and limit the use of live ammunition. Now, if we want to break down the cases into actuals, we would say that for the Techiman South constituency, that's the Bono East region, the number that died were 2, and then 9 injured. So for Techiman South, 2 deaths, 9 injured. For the Ododo-Diodio constituency, 2 deaths, 15 injured. For the Ablekuma Central constituency, 1 death, 4 injured. For the Banda Ahinkro in the Bono region, there's 1 death and 2 injuries. For the Doma West, 1 death, 1 injury. For Savelugu constituency in the northern region, 1 death, 3 injuries. And so that's the summary for the 2020, that's the 8 and 34. And then for 2024, in the Wutu Senya East, Kaswa, which is one of the ones who would zoom in, 1 death, 1 injury. It says that the key witnesses avoided the task force. The one person, Muhammad Ali, reportedly fled abroad. Recommendations is to continue the investigation. Another investigation is ongoing. Now, Tulum constituency in the Nyankpala township, that's in the northern region, there was also 1 death and 5 injuries. And then also in Damango constituency in the Savannah region, there's 1 death but no injury. And in Kuranza South constituency in the Bono East region, there was 1 death, no injury. And Ahafo and North South West, that's the Mankraso in the Ashanti region, there was 1 death and 3 injuries. So that brings a summary also to 7 and 6. So as we have indicated earlier, the minister has put together a couple of recommendations, or the report has put together a couple of recommendations and actions that need to be taken. Now, Lawyer ISHAQ, considering that both instances happened when your party was in power, how independent do you think the police has been in investigating this?
Thank you very much. I think I largely agreed with the submissions my friend has made. Electoral violence, regardless of a political party, need to be condemned. So if you see in a genuine democracy, the efforts to get yourself elected should be geared towards making the electorate to make an informed choice, and a choice that is completely independent of any kind of illegitimate influence. But when violence is being visited, as he rightly said, some people might even abstain themselves from the polling stations because I want to go there to vote, not to go there. In the end, I might not be able to return home. So for me, we need to condemn it. It doesn't matter any political party. And this is not unique to when MPP is in power. We saw when the NDC won, and subsequently the 2 by-elections, especially the Ablekuma one, the violence that was visited. For me, I've always been uncomfortable. It doesn't matter the political party. And some of the submission I find a bit distasteful because it's as if the MPP time there was lack of appetite to actually hold those people accountable. But when you see the report, it painted a picture that it was not MPP members who was visiting, say there is lack of political appetite during the MPP time to prosecute those people. Because Techima, for example, I had the opportunity of discussing with other people, and they said the security services said there was no evidence. And you remember, aside the electoral violence, we spoke about the journalist who was killed. And I said sometimes the infrastructure doesn't really support proper investigations. Unless, of course, that particular case, I even said maybe quantum physics could help us if we could get a time machine. Because if something has happened in a system such as highways, it's just difficult, and if you rely on them. So I truly agree that maybe some of this suspicion because people believe that these security services have no proper independence. I think we need to actually work hard. Perhaps maybe we need to re-establish certain things so that we can achieve a complete operational independence. So that when something fails, we don't have the need to blame the police. A good example is, I always like to use other people's examples. The Metropolitan Police. Sometimes the Prime Minister doesn't like the Commissioner, but he can't fire him. Do you understand that? If we can achieve proper operational independence, such that nobody can direct the policeman. Even look at the Galamsey issue. We know that the law is already there. Some people usually present it as if there's no law dealing with Galamsey. But sometimes it has just to do with implementation. So for me, these security services, the way they are trained, there's a problem over there. The way we train the police service, and whether the right people are actually sent to the police service. The protocol is both parties. I think we need to look into it. Let's send people who have genuine interest in the service, and not people who will go there simply because they have no else to go. So, and the training is really, for me, I'm not sure whether there is a human-centered approach the way they are trained. Even though I'm not saying it's exclusive to Ghana, elsewhere like the United States, you can hear the Black Lives Matter movement simply because there are racist police amongst them. But we need to have a training that is people-centered. Perhaps we need to emphasize people's human rights. The right to life in particular is a fundamental right that the police ought to know. And they also need to know their constitutional role. What is your relationship with citizens? Are you paid taxpayer money to protect the citizens or to take people's lives? And both parties, if any of these people is found to have wronged citizen, we shouldn't shield that particular person at all, regardless of political colors. So for me, I will congratulate them, but I think it's not comprehensive enough. They should have covered this current year of violence situation, or perhaps a system should be looking at it. This was why I found the need not to congratulate the guy, because what was achieved there was an outcome of violence. And you can see even the election day. I was on this studio before the election was declared. Members of other political parties, NDC in particular, I'm not going to miss where, even though they might think I'm introducing politics into it, but sometimes we need to name names. Malik Basantale, for example, was there asking members to mobilize a certain polling station. And we know when you mobilize people into polling station, there's a more pressure. If you do not take time, there can be spontaneous violence. So for this reason that I would even commend the former flag bearer of the NPP, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, when he congratulated his opponent very early. Some people have come to criticize him for that.
Yes, I agree with you on that. Look,
you see that?
He actually saved a lot of situations in this country because the tension was at the peak. Even at the displeasure of his party, he did this for peace in the country.
Yes.
It's a very
For me, this
point.
was a statesman who said, look, the tension in the country was very high. I have done my own calculations and I have lost the election. He graciously accepted defeat and called his opponent very early. Now, some people are criticizing him for doing that. Let's assume he hadn't done that. And there was actually people, why would people die just to make somebody else president? These are people's children. So we need to really criticize them. And we actually have to go outside electoral violence, to violence of any kind. If you see the activities of the security service in the north, I know the Boku issue is a challenging issue, but nevertheless, you have chosen to have that job and you tell us that you have the capacity to do it without violating people's rights. Look at the various reports that they make. Wale in particular, I have a problem, Alaji Issa. I was very close to him. He was shot at the chief palace, and then he died. No proper investigation whatsoever. A guy moving with his donkey was chased. Things are happening by the security service because they are doing it with impunity because there are no consequences. If someone unilaterally commits such crimes, even whether with the order from the command or without the command. But if people keep killing people, we talk about it like the way we do, and there are no real consequences, they will continue to do it. And maybe it's time for us to have an independent body that will investigate such crimes. Whenever police commit such a crime or soldiers, there will be an independent body. They should not be handling the investigations. But you can see that they investigate themselves. So they say the perfect definition of madness is consistently doing the same and expecting different results. So let's depart from such madness. And then, thank you.
You're ending.
Yes. No, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Dr. Jalilu, can you hear me?
Hello?
Yes, okay. So, Doc, in 2020, I'm reading an article published by Ghana Web, in 2020, post the 2020 elections, the then Interior Minister, Ambrose Derry, said, and I quote, "I can assure you that the security personnel has been really good, and we can all attest to it that this election has been the most violence-free. But we also urge security agencies to live up to their expectations and standards." Then I go on to, he says that the security operative did what they did within standard operating procedures. And it will be recorded that even in cases where there was injury or death, unfortunately, these ones are under investigation. Now, this was the Interior Minister at the time, saying that everything that the police did, they did it in line with their SOP, in line with their standard operating procedure. In fact, he also said that that was the most violence-free elections. Today, we are being told that that particular elections had 34 injuries and 8 deaths. Is it the case that when a particular party is in power until they are out of power?
All right. Thank you very much. Where is the next? So that is the problem with. All right. Thank you very much. In the section where we're talking about, that is the problem with this company.
Feedback. So I'll use that to introduce our in-house panelists who joined us whilst we were having a discussion. KWAME, OWUSU, DANSO, Ex-Gra. He's the president for the Forum for Accountability. Bro.
It's been a while.
Yes.
Yeah, last 2 Saturdays.
You've been dodging me.
No, I haven't. I had some other engagements somewhere. Right. And it was equally very important. So I needed to respectfully abandon my commitment to the show and to attend to those matters.
So today I'll let you stay extra hours.
I did for you.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, Prof, can you hear me? Prof, I think you are muted. If you cannot mute.
Prof, can you hear me?
I'm here. I can hear you.
Right. So, Prof, I mean, if the doctor could not hear me, it's only fair that I move it to the professor. So, Prof, the question I ask, if you hear what the Interior Minister at the time said, giving us assurances that what our fears were, that there were after investigations, that what he actually told us to be the case was really not the case. And indeed, there were 34 people who were injured as a result of the elections. 8 died. And this was as a result of the police and the military not doing their things well. What does this speak to partisan involvement in policing in this country?
Thank you, Kojo. See, this goes to further strengthen the argument that the citizenry do not believe the political elite for what they say. Because this is someone holding public office in trust. You come to make such statement. But the people were skeptical at that time. And over a period, the report comes and it confirms the fears of the people. Then should I use the word a liar? And do we need such people in office? It is very unfortunate to the extent that the 2 political groups we have in this country, each one of them, because each one knows what they do when they have power. And so you and I, who are not members of them, we can only take what they say. But over a period, we have become also afraid in terms of believing who is telling the truth. So for me, what has come out, I am not surprised because it is anticipated. So it is just a confirmation. However, it goes to further buttress the mode with which these officers or recruits are engaged. It's the fact that because in their architecture, they say do before complain. So the commander who is giving the order, when he goes to give the order, the one taking the order has no choice than to comply. And so the tax from both sides and the fear their action or inaction sent to the citizenry sincerely is a problem, and we all know it's a problem, and we are all sitting on a time bomb. If you see, recall 2020, these two tax that they called the invisible, and I don't know the other one. The one is invisible something.
Forces.
And the another one from the NPP side, also another name they give, the voter, whatever. We have institutionalized these groups. And these people find themselves in the security apparatus. When the powers that are about to leave, or they know they will leave, they get them inside. And of course, they own allegiance to the political or the political parties. So they are in there, they are there because they want to serve the interests of the Ghanaian, but they are there to serve the interests of he who brought them in, or the party who facilitated their engagement. So as a nation, in fact, until meritocracy, honesty in these places become the cardinal determinant, we are only just tickling ourselves. And the hour will come, but there's nothing anybody can control. And so I don't want to bore your viewers. What it is that the Ghanaians themselves have, gone in for this, and they are experiencing. So you also have to blame Ghanaians as well.
I'm sure nobody understands why we are laughing.
Yes.
So, Kwame, for me, and I think ISHAQ mentioned something interesting. Do we need to have a special task force set aside to investigate election-related violence? Because, like you said, police investigating police or military investigating military, most often than not, it would be, and KOTIN said it earlier, we would hear about the vigilante groups just out there, but then for the police, they say we deal with it ourselves. We don't even know how it's being dealt with. Do we need a task force? Maybe Parliament set up a task force purposely for this kind of activities?
Well, let me say a special good morning to you, and good morning to my colleagues, and a very special one to wonderful viewers who are watching us this morning. I think that we do not need to set up another investigative body for the purposes of investigating security agencies who have violated the laws of this country. Internally, they are able to do their own things. And I said this is that my father was a police officer. And at one point, there was a gentleman who was very recalcitrant, if you like, and he overstepped. He was investigated. And subsequently, they found that it was a gentleman who wanted to kill him, and therefore he needed to react, which is true, because I was there. So, internally, they are able to sanction their own, and they are able to deal with their own. I think the question should be about whether or not the security agencies, in a manner where it is very difficult for them to exercise their constitutionally, given rights, and again, in the military and all of that, when people commit different offenses, they are able to deal with it. It is the involvement of politicians when he visited Ghana was to allow institutions to work. If the institutions are allowed to work, then we do not care whether it is institution A that is investigating their own or it is institution B that is investigating their own. Once we are able to set the parameters, once we are able to allow the free flow of systemic, if you like, responses to specific actions or omissions, we will not be having this conversation. Look, I was an active participant, and I've been, I was a journalist of, how we have conducted ourselves as a people in respect of politics. Look, that we have had some pockets of, electoral violence, etc. But the magnitude from 2016 coming to 2019, is incomparable. That if you recall, this Ayawaso West Wuogon by-election was a precursor for the 2020 elections. Yeah. And therefore, we cannot have this conversation without necessarily mentioning some of the things which happened in the past. Of course, I admit that at Tiwa and all those places, we had similar issues. But the gravity of the violence that we experienced in 2019 coming down is unmatched. It's unmatched.
Ayawaso was when we first time saw the state apparatus itself being used.
Full display. And at the time, because of the lack of, commitment to the democratic experiment that we are practicing as a nation, we decided to create another operative within the national security for the purposes of doing some of these illegal things. Yeah. And the Emil Short Committee brought that to light, that you noticed that within national security, we had some operatives describing themselves or, as more like a function or an operational function of arm of the national security, and they were in charge of. You saw the videos, and I'm still reliving that because I was there. I saw it, feely. A woman's container was shot at. Nearly missed the woman. We want to have.
On the screen,
look, this is terrible. Look at this. Look, I mean, look, bro. We are still very young when it comes to democracy, and I think oftentimes we get ahead of ourselves because we have not really seen a major political shift through violence. We think that it is normal. It is normal. Look at what is happening in Tanzania, for instance. When was the last time you heard Tanzania, get into some political disagreement through violence? When? Never.
The interesting thing about Tanzania is that just in 2019, 2020, their then president, the one who died of COVID.
Yes.
He was transformed the nation. It was a country that everybody was who was the mark.
Yes.
Then just 5 years later.
Magufuli was the best,
Yes.
You see when leadership that is what I'm saying.
That's leadership.
That's what I'm saying.
And I'm sure in 2020, if you have told Tanzanians that they can be in this situation,
No, I've insulted you.
That's what I hear Kwame saying, that
Absolutely.
we should not take it for granted.
We are getting to that point, my brother. Yeah. Look, right now, whether we like it or not, there are two, if you like, forces that are militating against the survival of our democracy, or maybe more. We are looking at ethnicity, we are looking at religion, we are looking at political differences. Whether we like it or not, these things are fast creeping into our governance architecture. And it will be a problem. I don't remember, honestly, I grew up in the Ashanti region, ever hearing that media me Ashanti into me any personal, and I said media me achievement into me any personal, and I.
The myriad of ethnic and chieftaincy conflicts we have is mirrored on ethnicity or religion.
Absolutely. Yeah. And KOJO, we must have a very dispassionate, non-political, democratic, and if you like, proper Ghanaian conversation around these things. Because where we are headed is very dangerous. We sit down on concern, and then all of these matters will become matters that we cannot deal with, and then later we are looking for help somewhere. Whereas we could have dealt with it, in the beginning and nipped it in the bud.
Less expensive at that point.
Absolutely. So, KOJO, respectfully, this call by the Interior Minister is a step in the right direction. Nobody must lose his or her life because they want to exercise their constitutional rights. Nobody must lose their lives because they want to exercise their constitutional right, that they want to choose a leader that they so desire. That's for me. I like KOTIN. I don't like this man. Esquire. I like KOTIN. As for me, I like Esquire. I don't like KOTIN. Why can't we be allowed to make our own independent, informed decisions? Why
Why must somebody die because somebody wants to be a leader? And you see, and it's as a result of the deliberateness on the part of political parties to continue to use the youth in the wrong direction. That is why, if you check, we have not been able to deal with the issue of unemployment. Because if you have nothing to do, even the Bible has stated it, that the devil will always find work for the idle. So the more reason why political parties will pretend and turn a blind eye to the youth inability to get jobs is because they want to use them for some of these things. They want to use them for some of these things, and then they make promises to them. You recall that even after they had used them, was it in the 2016 or 2016 election coming? You remember that the invisible forces met in Tema, I believe, and were complaining that they had not been given jobs to do. So all of these people that you are seeing, all of these people who are beating Sam George, who beat Sam George, all these people who shot at innocent people, who maimed people, who killed people, are in our security agencies. Almost all of them. Almost all of them. So why are we doing this to ourselves? I want the investigation to even move beyond the periphery of the EMMANUEL committee's findings. It should move beyond that periphery, bro. We should do a proper audit of the security agencies, identify persons who were or who are part, or were or and are part of some of these, militia groups, and yank them out of the security forces. Because today you are seeing military men rob. You are seeing police people go on robbery, expedition. And we think that it's normal. These are people who were criminals. And you've given them, you've armed the armed robber with weapons. So obviously they will come attacking, all of us. Right. So I think that, of course, and I like how counsel dealt with the matter. He sought to look at it from an apolitical perspective. And that is how we can move forward as a nation. Even though some of these crimes were perpetrated under the MPP, he is very quick and honest to admit that with the conduct of His Excellency Dr. Bawumia in the just ended elections, he foresees that we would have a future where political parties will acquiesce immediately, when they've noticed that the results are not going the way they expected, so that we can maintain the sanity. Right. I want the Interior Minister to investigate this matter, to implement the EMMANUEL Committee's findings, to yank those people who have found their way. I'm told something like Komia Double and all those people, they are national security. DSP Azugo, I don't know where he is. Where is he now? He's gone home now. They have to bring him back from home. They have to prosecute. This is a criminal matter. He went on trial. He went on, and what happened? I didn't hear about the trial.
I need to find out.
No, but we must.
There was a commission, he appeared and he really implicated himself.
Exactly.
And
so what is happening?
Recommended his removal. I think that one the president acted. But
yeah. So
Doc, welcome back.
Yeah, thank you very much, Coach.
Right, Doc. So on where Kwame ended, if we look beyond the politics, we are talking about 15 Ghanaians who have died simply because they wanted to choose who they want to lead them. These are Ghanaians. These are Ghanaians. These are not people who are foreigners. So they are people who have blood running through them just like you and I. The Peace Council, is it time that we can ask the Peace Council to start having the discussion for us to see that we are Ghanaians and have that broader Ghanaian discussion, devoid of politics, devoid of MPP, NDC, devoid of UP+, devoid of CPP, devoid of anybody. Let's have the Ghanaian discussion. Do you think the Peace Council, it's about time we ask the Peace Council to take up this responsibility?
Yeah, thank you very much. Yes, I think the issue is even non-Ghanaians living in Ghana should not even die, maybe because of the implications of elections or violence or what have you. People living within our tradition should have the right to move, doing things the way they want within the confines of the law. Okay, so we do not expect that any person should die in election, because elections is supposed to be a peaceful civic activity. Okay, so that's why electoral violence should not have any place in our elections. Yes, talking about the National Peace Council and then the other statutory bodies like the NCC, I think they've been doing, education and all that. Peace Council, I know they engage various actors, political parties, even before the elections. Sometimes they are even able to organize them to a place, right, where they will make some undertakings or sign some kind of peace pact that they will conduct the elections, freely, fairly, without violence. But unfortunately, in elections, we have experienced electoral violence and all that. So I think that we, like, my colleague, the last speaker, a panelist just discussed, I think that we need a holistic review, overview of or evaluation of our elections, how we conduct our elections, so that it will help us moving forward. Because every election, and especially when you have the ruling parties, okay, at that point, it's like, they sponsor violence in order to get what they are looking for. And that is why the first question you asked me earlier about Honorable Ambrose Derry, we were talking about 7 people, 15 people dying. Third parties benefit from this violence, especially ruling parties, okay? And that is why you even find, an interior minister coming to justify even when people have lost their lives. So I think that, and that's why Professor ABAVARE has said, right, we must have, the recruitment into the service. Peace Council and all others will do their best. But if we still have, employing or recruiting wrong people into our security services, I think that it will be, we'll continue to discuss this issue. Because if you look at, even in Parliament, on the floor of Parliament, during the vetting, if you recall, you realize that even parliamentarians were, talking about the fact that, they have some protocol. Instead of recruiting people based on merit, we hear that some protocols are given to people, and such protocols will be given to party apparatus, whether they meet up the criteria and all. So why not open the situation? So it's like Ghana has become a protocol. We are virtually becoming a protocol state. It means that everything that you need is through protocol and all that. So those Peace Council, NCC, and others will do what they are supposed to do. They will do the training, they will engage political parties and all that. But if we do not deal with that element of partisanship, okay, politics in our elections and all that, political parties will continue, because when they are in power, they benefit from the violence. So it is like the state security will be used against the opponent. Okay, so when they are in power, they will not see anything wrong. Okay, but when they are in opposition, that is where they know that things are being done against us and that kind of thing. I do not think that we can build this nation of ours in this manner. We should allow the institutions to work. We should ensure that when we talk about institutions, the processes, the legal processes, and whatever this in addition to the established structures and all that, if we allow them to function the way they are established to function, and I think that we'll be able to deal with that. And maybe my last point on this, my colleague, the last panelist, said something about that we should allow all the police, because they have their internal mechanism. In fact, if you look at the best practice across the world, if you want to hold police accountability, right, it's ensured through a number of independent oversight and regulatory bodies. So in my view, and we conducted some research, myself and a colleague, Joseph Bauer, last year during when we're Professor Ayi and then Professor ALIDU edited a book on the Ghana's Fourth Republic. We worked on reforming the police service for effective policing in Ghana. And we interviewed, police officials and all that. And one of the recommendations we made is about establishing an independent body that will be responsible for holding police accountable for some of these things. So in my view, yes, the police must have their internal structures, all right? But I think that it is important that we have some bodies outside, all right, to hold police accountable for the public. So, for example, I taught policing courses in the United Kingdom, West Midland Forces, Warwickshire and all that. And one of the, they have what we call the Independent Office for Police Conduct, okay, responsible for investigating serious complaints and allegations of misconduct and all that. Okay, so that is that. There are even some other oversight bodies that are responsible for organizational conduct. They will do that. They also have the PCCs, for example, holding the public. So in my view, yes, the police must have that within to hold, but there should be some independent bodies outside of the police so that they will be able to deal with some of these issues. So basically, I think that this is my take on this matter.
Doc, thank you very much, Doc, for your take. I'll probably take 2 more takes on this because it's a developing story and I'm sure we would get more. Kwame, I'll come back to you now, and I'm coming to you as a lawyer. With this finding, with this report, can the families of the victims sue the state?
That's a very tricky
I mean, this is to you and lawyer ISHAQ.
That's a very tricky question.
This one is the problem of the day.
You see, everybody has the right to take an action if they feel that their rights have been violated. And to that extent, I would say that if there's enough evidence to support whatever claim they are making, then that nothing stops them from taking on the state. So they can do that. They can do that. And I would encourage them to test the law. And it's always been my position that we must test the laws of this country. So yes, I would encourage them, if there's enough evidence to support, the claims that they are making, to take on the state. The rule of the game is evidence. You may see somebody pick a gun and shoot somebody, and you go to court, and then there's no evidence to support the claim. You will not win the case. So that is usually what it is. And to that extent, of testing the law, let me just digress a little bit to say that I've even, on many occasions, pontificated that we need to even test the law on bail. How we are using bail as a weapon to go after our political opponents, is something that we must also begin to look at. And I'm going to go to court on that because, yes, granted that, there are laws that govern the system of bail. I feel that the kind of conditions that we are putting in place is rather very punitive as opposed to it's furthering, the presumption of innocent people matters. Yes. So we need to go to court and, get a framework that will guide us going into the future. Because today it's a chairman to me, tomorrow it is Amishadai, tomorrow it is this. Tomorrow maybe you and I seated here. We may not have people who would guarantee to give us their houses, etc. So I believe that we must test the laws of this country. Now, having said that, and I'm ended on that because we want to move to council, is that we are not, the idea is not to remind people of their pain. Because you see, when you see some of these things, some of these videos, I'm sure this morning, Sam George is really very pained, seeing and watching this video play out and play out and play out. This is an experience that nobody would want to relive. It is a very damning experience, an experience that goes against everything that the country embodies. And the kind of portrayals that we have in the international community, everything this video represents violates that. That we are the beacon of hope, that we are the light when it comes to democracy, that we understand the rule of law, which prescribes, precision and certainty. We talk. I do 100. Look, let me tell you something. Irrespective of some of these bottlenecks that we are faced with, I, Kwame Usu, as seated here, I have never lost hope on Ghana. Never. Because I do believe that we are gradually getting to a point where we will appreciate the importance of the egg of democracy that we are holding or we are beholding in our hands. And that we have to jealously guard it. So I am very, very confident. Trust me, I'm very confident. I absolutely, I'm even seeing it play out. I'm not saying President John Dramani Mahama is a saint. I'm not saying that he is achieving everything. But at least now you are seeing some sanity prevail. At least now you are seeing political actors and players being investigated. I am not overpraising him. I am only bringing out that which I have seen. That which I have not seen, I will not praise him on it. And like the point I'm trying to actually also make is that we have lived in this country for many times when political parties change or leadership changes, and then you don't see people account for their stewardship.
That was missing for the longest time within our body politic. Now we are seeing it play out. Now we are seeing it unfold. Now we are seeing, this administration go after persons who are alleged or perceived to have committed acts, wrongful acts against the state. And I'm very, very happy. That means that the NDC ought to be very cautious, because when power changes hands, their people will also be investigated. Right. Now, when we go on that trajectory, what we are doing, therefore, is that we are resetting and going back to reinvigorate the kind of political architecture that we have been, experiencing over the period. Now, people will be more accountable. Now, people will be more responsible. Now, people who have been given positions of authority will, execute their mandate with recourse to conscience, number one, with recourse to the aspirations of the people, number two, with recourse to the Constitution, number three, and with recourse to the fundamentals of humanity. That is the most important thing. And once we are able to do that, this country will change for the better.
True resetting. I saw a smile or a smirk on the face of counsel. Counsel.
The mistake is reset is not.
Now it becomes synonymous with.
It's not. It's not a word for the NDC. Reset is English. Reset is English.
But it becomes synonymous.
Don't you reset your phone?
It was their political slogan.
Yeah. So it becomes synonymous with anyway. Counsel. So counsel, just 1 minute. Considering
I'm
that.
actually interested in that area of the law.
Yes.
Because I've taught law for about 3 years in the university. Taught law.
Okay.
Yes. So the family could actually come under tort. So tort is just a civil wrong.
Yes, because the report has indicated issues of negligence by the police.
Yes. So that's tort law.
Yes.
So negligence on the part of public authorities.
Okay.
I think whether they should be going to court, my advice is that they shouldn't go to court. Somebody who have taught in this area. So once the report have already established that the state is culpable, why are you going to go to court?
To get more compensation than what the state will give you.
No. So it depends. So the argument will be the quantum of the compensation. Because we go to court under the civil wrong of tort, simple because, one, we want to vindicate our rights. And the report had vindicated it, that, yeah, they were wronged. And then compensation has been offered already. So why would you go to court to establish what? It has already been established. But having established that, perhaps, yes, they can have issue with the quantum, of which it could take in the form of an appeal. But I'm not really sure whether a court can actually revise the quantum.
Right.
Maybe it's quite possible. But I like the second submission he actually gave about the bail conditions. Look, I've seen NDC lawyers arguing that they are right to set bail conditions.
So 30 seconds on that one, then we move on.
And we need to be very careful.
To
because
have a program on that.
once you
So
are in
30 seconds, we'll
power,
have a program to discuss.
once you are in power and you think,
Yes.
once you are in power, you think a reasonable amount, such as 100 million, 150 million is okay. You are not going to remain in
Justified.
power. Yes.
Hey,
so you are not going to remain in
should be
power.
careful.
Because the Constitution under Martin Kibu has made it very clear that every crime to defeat the purpose to reduce that particular right in the Constitution illusory, then we have a problem.
I mean, I've indicated before that it will get to a time where we'll be asked to bring the intestines of an ant.
They are actually formatting.
Anyway, so let me read a few comments before we move on. So this comment is from Kwesi Enoch Odame. He's with the Isunafun North Municipal Assembly. He says that I agree that justice and compensation are necessary where innocent people suffered losses during elections. However, we must also learn from the past. Elections should not be peaceful and purely civilian affairs. The military's role is to protect the nation, not to be involved in electoral matters. I think KOTIN said that once we vote, it's the duty of the Electoral Commission and security agencies to ensure fairness without intimidation. Let's focus on building true trust in the system rather than repeating the same mistakes. Okay, so that's from Enoch. I'll read just a few. This is also from Emmanuel Akazebri. We were released. In 1993, some of us were put before court again, and that led to the formation of the Public Order Act. Don't talk of only 2020 and 2024. I think he's speaking to the generality of the investigation. And forget of those of us who also suffered same in the past. So that's from Emmanuel. This is from Aliyu Musa Dogo. He says, for the record, okay, so he's also saying that the Fourth Republic starts in 19, so let's not behave as if it's 2020, okay? He says that Ghanaians also died in Chirimponi, Akweti, Agbogboshi, etc., like those who died from 2020. Let's be fair to all victims. The checkmate was started by President Kufuor, Malamisa, and some NDC members, okay? So he's saying that if we are giving compensation, that we should extend it and not really limit it to 2020 and 2024. I'll read the last one by SEIDU. He says that please, Ghanaian man integrity is overflowing with corruption. Corruption people are, okay, I won't read this one. He's accusing some particular professions of being the ones with corruption. Anyway, so we are live on GTV Corporation and also on GTV. So you can join us on social media, on Facebook and on YouTube. You can keep your comments and your questions coming on 053-110-1315, 053-110-13 tax. So, I mean, I'm coming to you because I know UTAG has always had a position on Galamsey. The last time we spoke, we engaged you was when the president had the meet the press, and you were very vocal with your disagreement with some of the things that the president said. We were given indication that it looks like the attempts being used or the things that have been put into motion is solving the problem. We are getting information that the Galamseyers and their dependents are now even becoming more violent and attacking the task force that is supposed to disband or to stop the illegality. In some instances, in the EPA case, we hear that the ammunition that they were carrying, even the national security were afraid, so they had to run, and eventually one car ran into a head-on collision with another car. Are we winning this fight, Prof? Or is there any sight that we are going to win this fight?
Thank you very much, Kojo. You see, this Galamsey thing, right from the beginning when we were speaking, many people thought we were partisan. But I think now our point or our issue that we were concerned about are becoming clearer. Right now, whether or not we are winning the war against Galamsey, it's not the point. It is gradually metamorphosis to organize crime against the environment and against the state. It's an organized crime because when the plant starts to grow and you don't nip it right from the beginning, and when that happens, it becomes extremely difficult to uproot. The fight, that's where it's now growing to become. And now it has matured from the earlier beginnings. For example, if you recall, you will notice that the issue of Galamsey began. The people who were involved were always, most of the time, were hiding or running to avoid cameras or trying to escape, whichever way. They were afraid. Now, they are no longer afraid. The time that they were afraid was the time that we had the power to name it. Now, they are no longer afraid. They are also trying or are not setting themselves that it is.
Hello, Prof. Can you hear me? Okay, I think we're having some technical challenges. So back in studio. So Kotin. So back in studio. So Kotin, on this issue about the Naimos Galamsey, as a security, Prof, are you back, Prof? Can you hear me?
I hear you.
Okay, I think we lost you briefly. So if you are back, please continue for us.
Okay. So I was saying that now that the people are now having the courage to confront security forces, are having the courage to be able to meet anyone who want to more or less face them. This is the level we have reached. And we're going to move beyond that. If we don't take any action now, we're going to reach a point that it becomes an organized cartel that nobody dare even talk about it. And I don't think that is where we want to go. We've been trying to embellish the whole thing. And in the embellishment, we're going to suffer. If the people now have the courage to confront the Naimos, how much more is the blue guard, the water guard? They are nothing to write home about. So UTAG was calling for a state of emergency. There were several legal, theoretical, name them, why the state couldn't call for state of emergency. I could mention SEIDU Ketia coming to say no. The president meeting the states, meeting the press, media press briefing, he emphasized on it, even stating the gains the state was making from Galamsey. If you recall, he said that last year they made about 80,000 tons of gold, and this year they are making 135,000 tons of gold. The difference was coming from Galamsey. From there, he went on to talk about what the economic, what do you call it, the livelihoods. The point UTAG at that time stated was that, are we going to, now that story for me is nothing to talk about anymore. As to whether or not we are making progress with the Galamsey fight, UTAG has always been insistent that it depends on the level of the water stability. That is the utmost result we can say we are winning. If the level still remains as it is or going bad, whatever it means, whatever we've done doesn't matter. And for me, right now, even my fear is no longer even with the water and the forest and the farmlands. My fear now is that very soon, the whole philosophy of Galamsey will be like the Latin Americas, where we have this organized drug barons, drug cartels, and we know the Escobars. That is where we are gradually migrating to. And when we get there, let me sound this warning. The terrorists are hiding around the sub-region. The terrorist group, it will become a good fertile grounds for them to what? Infiltrate. And when they do infiltrate, don't say, UTAG never said anything about this. And so for me, you see these able young people on your screen, if nothing is done by calling, if you don't want to call it state of emergency, any name they think do any form of mining, then it will be the beginning of doing the fight. But as it is now, Mr. President, please, now that these guys can stand up to the task force, they are now also wielding weapons. And if they start wielding the weapons, it will become fire exchange. And that in that crossfire, the weak and the vulnerable will be the ultimate sufferers. We should not easily forget the death of Major Mahama. The 8 officials, in fact, the Naimos, we nearly also registered a catastrophe with the Naimos, who were just saved by grace. Then they've gone on to the journalists with the EPAs. So can we just be looking on? We did the same. We did not infringe upon anybody's right at all. You see, it goes to buttress that it is the big fishes who are behind these things. That's why we are where we are. And so for UTAG, we will continue with the advocacy. We will still let the Ghanaian people know that we are only just waiting for the appropriate time. The entire nation will be under the grip of these cartels. And they will then determine who even become president of this country, because they have the money. And if they have the money, they have the weapons. Who are you and me? And so we are continuing to remind you that this is not a joke. It is more than a war. And so I will plead and appeal that anyone who has power, our traditional ruler, because the people can't go without their consent. You know that queen, I don't know what the queen mother would say, the woman was, who is a king, if she could stop people to come into your community to mine, another pretext of 2 million Ghana cedis, and she could ward them off, what prevent the other kings and traditional leaders and rulers elsewhere to do same? In fact, that baffles my mind, and I can't understand. And so, this is where we are. We are gradually giving ourselves up to the Tuaregs, the ISIS, and the Boko Harams. Just name them. But when it happens, those we didn't say it. But the last one I want to submit is that some people may think that the Galamsey, they don't care about it because it's happening in the hinterland. Remember, when the lands, the arable lands are destroyed, they can no longer farm, and the water bodies are also gone. They don't have water to drink and to do anything. They will leave. They will come to the cities, Kumasi, Accra, Tamale, anywhere, they will come. And when they do, no, they will know the time you go to work, 6 o'clock. They know the time you come back to work from work, 8 p.m. In between that time, they will have field day with your properties. And so this is not a joke. And I'm appealing to everyone who has power to say, do anything, and especially President Mahama. This is the moment to name it. If you don't, you leave a legacy gated by this episode of.
Thank you very much, Prof, and thank you for the submission. Let me come to my security and terrorism expert, and KOTIN. I'm giving you a bit of time because of your expertise to speak on this issue. Now we see that the people are now emboldened. Yeah. They are coming after military, they are coming after journalists, they are coming after anybody who is asking them to stop what they are doing. It looks like we have not learned. And if you take the case of General Mahama, it was not the military that lynched him. It was not the police that lynched him. It was the people. Civilians. Yeah. Civilians. And they are doing it again. If Naimos, for what we have heard, if the commander had not shown that level of emotional intelligence, which, I mean, again, I'll defer to you for you to tell me whether what I think is right or wrong. I'm sure we would have been hearing of another issue. Yeah. Any lesson, either the people or the state. What is causing this emboldenment? Like, why are people getting this agitated and they're coming after security agencies?
Thank you so much. And I will want to be very blunt because of the seriousness of the matter. Why are people becoming emboldened? One may ask, and rightly so, you have asked him. It's simply because we do enforce our laws. And our laws are not deterrent enough. I want to address Mr. President directly. I think enough of the talking. The action is now. Look, what was the point losing this level of human capital, Dr. Manibuama, my good friend, Dr. Mutala. Alhaji Lumuna, the Deputy National Security Coordinator, Mr. Sapon and the rest, and our flying officers. What was the real need? Major Mahama was sacrificed. Let me say sacrificed because he was on national duty, and the people he was supposed to be protecting abandoned him and took his life. So, Mr. President, when is the right time to declare a state of emergency? If these deaths, if what we are witnessing now cannot influence your decisions on these things, and you are still waiting for the National Security Council to advise you otherwise, I think that posterity will not judge your presidency right. I know you are a student of history. You mean well for this country. Whoever is behind, the big guys who are behind, I think you have a legacy to protect. We can't continue to lose lives the manner we are doing. I saw you cry live on TV when this helicopter crash happened. I thought that would have been the turning point. Do you know, because of this emotional trauma the president suffered, even as we speak, he has not had the courage to appoint substantive ministers to the ones we lost. It shows how it has gone to him. And Prof made very good an academic exercise, because if you look at Prof presentation, very educational. To the ordinary and lay person on the street who understand the issues at stake. Unfortunately, people go to my Facebook wall and tell me that what did my government do about it? That is why MPP lost elections. That is why we changed leaders. If Nana Akufo-Addo could not act on it, and as a consequence, MPP lost elections, we expect the NDC government to act and act decisively. That even reminds me, the vigilante groups we had, have we asked ourselves where they are now? They are gone to now? And Council raised a very good point behind the scenes, and it was part of my thinking. Have you observed armed robbery has gone down in the country? Where do you think those criminal gangs are?
You know, interesting, I think about a month ago.
Where do you think they are? They are in our forests.
You know, about a month ago, I was doing a bit of analysis. There are 3 communities who had their there are 3 I think communities where there were bank robbery attacks. Interestingly, those are communities that earlier they had gone to disband Galamsey.
So there's a nexus. And the saddest aspect of it is that the Galamsey thing is turning ideological. Because if the youth of this country, who should know better, our future, they are kind of subcharging. People who are supposed to be protecting us, we are supposed to help them protect our future. We are massing and fighting them. It means that there's something fundamentally wrong. And you see the Naimos thing. The commander saved the situation, but in the strictest military terms, he failed. In operational terms in military, one would classify it as indiscipline because he endangered his troops. He should have drawn a line, and I think it's about time. It's a very difficult topic to speak about, and I'm choosing my words very carefully because the media does not lie. Tomorrow, one will put this video and say, Emmanuel KOTIN, you said this before. Look, there must be a stop to civilian attacks on our military. And our military or our security operatives must begin to implement all the security protocols when their lives are endangered. After all, every life matters.
Right.
Major Mahama died at the hands of the civilians. Is that not it?
That is so.
So if the military to also activate the proper protocols as they are trained and civilian lives are lost, what is wrong with that? No, I hope you are getting my argument. I'm not saying they should go and do that. But the civilians are so emboldened to attack our military. And that is an affront on our national security. And you know why all these things are happening? Politics. Dr. Gozo said this somewhere.
They actually touched them.
They touched them. You look at the video, it's so disheartening. Can you imagine that a whole colonel who is properly armed with his men are running helter-skelter to the comfort of civilians for safety? Is that what this country has descended into?
Is it the one that the MP was involved?
Exactly.
Yes, this is that one.
Electoral.
Exactly.
I will come to that issue.
And I was talking about Dr. Gozo when he made a comment as a CDD program. I was there with him that how can charges that they made against him. This gentleman eventually lost his livelihood until it was restored recently. Nothing like that should ever happen. And look, the Naimos thing, I had the privilege to talk to people within. Do you know that Naimos is ill-equipped? Look at a national task force of this magnitude. The president's first short of declaring a state of emergency because they have an alternative to state of emergency, and that was Naimos. And you put 5 pickups for national operation of Naimos. What is the budgetary allocation to Naimos? And why the colonel did what he did was that he realized the civilians were better armed than he and his men. So apparently there were logistical challenges on his part. So that's why he had to use his emotional intelligence and did what he did. And I think I have to eat back some of my words and apologize to Colonel Bua. Because on this very platform on Focus, I called on the CDS never to give him any operational duty in the field. They should give him a desk at the headquarters. But given the facts I have now, that they were challenged logistically, anybody, so these people. Because if you give people a function to perform and you don't appropriately give them the logistical needs they need, what are you doing? So it means that technically, the government is not committed to the fight against Galamsey. If the government is committed, they should have voted enough resources and logistics for Naimos. I'm looking forward to see the budget will be read in the next few weeks to see how much will be allocated to Naimos. I was in the same platform with Prof, and I said it here. If you look at how our youth are arming themselves in the Galamsey field and all other kinds of social ill, the fight is now ideological. And if government does not act now, implement a state of emergency to clear these people, we have very serious problems on our hands. And you know the funny thing, most of the people there are not even Ghanaians, they are foreigners. And this brings the extremism aspect into the mix, given the challenges we are facing in the Sahel. In the Bono thing, wasn't Ebokinabe involved? What is Ebokinabe doing on our foreign reserves? And the other things we are not looking at is, you spoke about Boku. We have Boku on our hands. It is preparation for medical needs And a lot of them have been able to mobilize from Boku, and they have seen that there are opportunities in our Galamsey site. And they are there. You remember when they discovered a whole town in the forest somewhere, where even our security services were not even aware of it. What has happened to that discovery? It has gone mute. And may God bless Erastus Asari. He has always put his life at the peril of defending these things. And now we come to the other aspect of it. You see, Galamsey now, the president has a choice to declare it now or stop wasting taxpayers' money in the name of Naimos. It means that there are strong people behind Galamsey, and this government itself is complicit. If for the death of this human capital from the NDC, we cannot trigger the declaration of a state of emergency, then nothing else will. And Prof made another point I want to highlight briefly. You see, our chiefs, they control the lands. And they have direct control over the Galamseyers in their communities. So the chiefs are equally complicit in this Galamsey thing. You know that there are some days that are taboos for you to go to the field. Go to the Galamsey side and ask. On those days, you dare not go to the forest. Or if you are arrested, there will be serious repercussions for that. So if chiefs can implement Galamsey illegal miners from mining on these set days, are you telling me it's out of their reach? Look at the statistics that came out yesterday. Ghana is ranked as #1 in terms of gold deposit in Africa, and #6 the entire world. You know what that is going to bring on us? People are going to troop in Ghana, use resources to kind of empower these groups that are in inoculation. We are tickling ourselves and looking away. And when it comes to that stage, when we now have factions in the Galamsey fight, our security will be paralyzed for good. And I think that these are an existential threats. The social dimensions are very dire. The children we are giving birth to now, cancer. What social capital do we have to take care of these children in the next 50 years? What are we talking about as a country? And you know why? The youth are emboldened to do these things because of leadership vacuum. Under the 4th Republican Constitution, leaders have not been responsive to the needs of the youth. The popular slogan you hear at the Galamsey side is that we vote for you people, you go and amass wealth and neglect us. We also do Galamsey and survive. Right. So it's a balancing act we need to do. Building our institutions, creating alternative livelihoods for these Galamseyers is also very paramount. Thank you. And government needs to be looking at those things.
Thank you. I mean, how you ended ties into something Kwame said earlier, that the reason why the leaders are not creating the jobs is because they need the youth to do certain things for them during elections. And you've also hit on that point that because the people are not also getting the jobs and they did the dirty work. Now, when they're in the bush or in the forest doing some of these things, they struggle to touch on the Kwame. Yes. I mean, being a journalist, the attack has even moved beyond Naimos, beyond the military. Yeah. The EPA, I understand there were 3 EPA officers and 5 media personnel. I understand the person from multimedia group has a crack on the forehead, I think. And now it's gone beyond that. Yeah. Now, and it means that even we that we are covering, even we that we want to bring the information here, we are being targeted.
Yeah, of course you'll be targeted, because without you, light will not be shone on the activities. So obviously, they will target you. They will target the media, institutions. And I dread the day that they would,
come into close contact with Erastus. I just pray fervently all the time that they should not come into close contact with Erastus, because he is the one who has been, heralding this conversation about and exposing some of the ills within that. But the most important question that perhaps we must ask is, why are people emboldened? And that's the fundamental question we should ask, because clearly all of us will agree on this table that people are emboldened. Now, people are emboldened for two specific reasons. One, whether they have legitimacy, and two, whether they have political support. So the question about legitimacy, are they there legally to operate? Because if I'm on my site legally to operate, I will do so without recourse to anybody, and I will defend my territory. That is the first point. Number two, if I'm there because I have some political support.
So I think it's fair to say that the first point will not be the case. Because if it's legally, Naimos would not have gone there.
I mean, yes, clearly.
So then let's go to your second.
That's what I'm saying.
So your second becomes the most possible.
So it's always important in law to give balance to the argument. That's why I made the first point. So then you have now disagreed with my first point, which means that is not the subject matter here. The subject matter here, therefore, becomes the support from political elites. The people that we vote for, the so-called power brokers, the people to commit some of these atrocities against the state. Because who born dog? That a state institution that is mandated to carry out some of these exercises will be attacked in plain sight with disdain. And if some, if there was some divine intervention, we would have been hearing another story today. People are emboldened because the political actors and players who are behind some of these people are telling them, oh, Masa, nobody can do anything to you. They will be armed. All right? And then they carry out some of these activities. But you see, the point is that, look, when we vote for leaders, we vote for leaders primarily to solve the problems of the people. That is why we vote for leaders. We vote for leaders because all of us seated here cannot be presidents of Ghana. All of us seated here cannot be members of parliament. So we will look within and say that, okay, given the things that you are telling us, given your track record, given your commitment to the soul of the community, we are asking you to go and represent us. Or we are asking you to become the president of the Republic of Ghana. So that when you go there, you will further advance our aspirations and that you will protect us and protect our interests. Create opportunities for the people so that they will get something to do. That is the mandate of a leader. The leader is also supposed to take decisions, whether palatable or otherwise, which decisions will better the lives of the people. And so, on the basis of that, people will entrust their lives into your hands, that go and do the needful so that we can be better citizens. Unfortunately, we will make all of these promises. We will tell the people how we are going to be dealing with some fundamental teaching challenges. And when we are presented with the opportunity to execute same, then we backtrack and hide under or behind the cloak of political expediency. And we jettison some of the things that we promised the people. One example, which is clear, is Galamsey. And I will sit here and speak my truth that we are paying lip service to the fight against Galamsey, which has, whether we like it or not, has become a national security crisis. And it is evident, very axiomatic, that the point made by KOTIN it's true that even when you go to these Galamsey sites, it will shock you that most of the people who are involved are not even Ghanaians. In fact, the community that you are talking about, which was destroyed recently, was a community filled with a lot of Nigerians. What are Nigerians doing at the Galamsey sites? Burkina Faso, they are there. Togolese, they are there. Ivorians, they are there. These people are not Ghanaians. So when they see a Naimos operative who is a Ghanaian, they don't care about him. They can kill him because they are not Ghanaians. That is where we are. And these people have been hired to protect the interests, parochial interests of political elites in this country. People who will go and steal, kill, rob the state, and they will come and flaunt it, in our faces. That we are for us, we don't like hard work, we don't like labor. And they have been misrepresenting things to the young people of this country. All right? What even upsets me is how political parties themselves defend some of these nonsense. How political parties themselves defend this nonsense. You recall, under the which operations did we not have? Hawk 1, Hawk 2, operation this, operation that. In the final analysis, it was evident, became clear to all of us, without any confusion, that these people were rather sent there to go and protect the interests of some of these, political people, MPP people who were involved in illegal mining. And I will say this and say it again, that I will come to President Mahama, but it is important to understand where we are coming from. And it's important that if you want to know how to deal with this matter, you have to understand the root cause. That we are here because of the investment, the illegal investment, which were made in the actual, administration, the Nadako administration, where when there was Professor Frimpong Boateng report, which revealed the involvement of some NPP people in the issue in Galamsey, that report was poo-pooed. No action was taken in respect of that report. And we are here today. People's names were mentioned. And when the president of Ghana was presenting the facts to the good people of Ghana, to his right, there was a Galamsey was involved in Galamsey. In the final analysis, what happened? All of them were left off the hook. And that is the effect that we're having to deal with now. Okay? So it is important that we need to understand the basics. Now, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, in the run-up to the election, was very clear that they were going to deal with the issue of Galamsey. Because you see, the Galamsey issue became the most important conversation around the 2024 election, whether we like it or not. At the zenith of all the conversations was Galamsey.
Yeah.
And we were made to believe that the then opposition administration had the magic wand and they were going to forcefully deal with the issue of Galamsey. Today, what are we experiencing? And this is not a matter of NDC or MPP. This is not a matter of NDC or MPP. When you start speaking like this, people say, and then you are doing. It is not a matter of NDC or MPP. My family members live in the central region. My family members live in the western region. And therefore, it is a matter that concerns all of us. We live in Greater Accra region and we think that, as for us, we are ostracized from the matter. We are not. We are at the mercy of products that will be brought to our region from those regions. And therefore, I will not come and sit here and be an ostrich and pretend that we are dealing with the issue of Galamsey. We are not. We are not. KOTIN makes it clear and indicates to us that Naimos is under-resourced. Is that not what you said? Yeah. How do you go into a battlefield where you have people wielding, sophisticated weapons, and you are going there with nothing, with a pistol, with some AK-47, some old AK-47, when people are using M16, and Professor Kluchi herself admits that the people who attacked them were in vests, security vests, proper vests, bulletproof vests. How can you fight those people?
With the inscription CID.
CID?
Yes.
These people are well coordinated. These people are well coordinated. They know exactly what they are doing. They know exactly what they are doing. So with respect to the President of the Republic of Ghana, I love him so much. I will not hide it. All right? But I think that on this matter, he is treating these people with kid gloves.
Right.
And, no, I'm not done, please. This is a national issue. Let me speak. Please, let me speak. Let me speak. Let me speak. Because you see, no, hold on, please. Look,
go on.
He made mention of something that happened Why?
I wanted to call for a video that would help your
call for the video.
Because there's one where the people. So if my team can show the video where the civilians were actually speaking at the military and telling them the Galamsey, no matter what it is that they do, they won't stop. If you can show the video for us. That's the Naimos team where and then.
You see?
Kwame, so you can hear. And then before you come in, I would want to apologize to viewers for some of the languages used and then the religious undertones in there. Please pardon us. We just needed you to see the extent to which the people that the Naimos is there to protect their future that we are talking about. How they see that. That's what Kwame was talking about. That something is emboldening them. What is it? So Kwame.
Kwame,
2 minutes more, just do it in two.
Clearly. So the point I'm making is that now the baton has been handed over to His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. And I am not one to sit here and question what goes on in his mind, because I do know that there may be, some definitive solution that he has in his mind. I am not privy to it, so I will not. But what I'm aware of is that he has indicated that he has not gotten to the point where we will declare a state of emergency. I do respectfully disagree with Mr. President on this matter. That we are there. Because, you see, look at how Naimos was attacked. Look at how the EPA boss was attacked. Look at how when my very, very, very respected friend, may God keep his soul, Dr. Manibuama, may God keep his soul, Dr. Murtala Mohammed, Murtala Mohammed was like a brother to me. Alhaji Lumuna, we've dealt on different levels. And all the young people who lost their lives. Why did they lose their lives? Because they were on their way to go and, deal with these matters. I think that we lost an opportunity there. That should have been an opportunity to be very, iron fist, or to have an iron fist approach to dealing with the issue of Galamsey. So I respectfully want to plead to the leadership of the NDC, to the leadership of this government, that enough of the talk, that enough of the isolated, uncoordinated, approach. We have to be very coordinated in our approach to dealing with the issue of Galamsey. Because in the final analysis, when it becomes a national crisis, you see, look, and I'm ending on this note, that in this country, we sit down, somebody will come and put one container here. We won't talk. The next moment, they will erect some small wall.
It's good you've noticed it. I don't know what our problem is.
I don't know, my brother.
You see somebody start a small market.
I'm telling you, nobody says that. You see, if we were a serious nation, investing hugely in agriculture, we will not be here. That if we were investing in, agriculture, that cocoa, a bag of cocoa at the time, was something that somebody could make very meaningful, cash from, we will not be here. We've sat down for people to trade their cocoa farms. We've sat down for people to trade their maize farms, their sugarcane farms, and they've sold it to Galamsey. You think that in China and all those places, they don't have gold? You think they don't have gold? But the Chinese will bring a champagne, come and destroy your water body, take that gold and go and develop their country with it. They have gold. If you don't know, ask. Find out. They have gold. They all have gold. But they will come here and destroy your water body because you don't think. Because you are so selfish that you only think about what you will get. You don't think about the collective good of the people. Right. So please, Mr. President, respectfully, with the grace of respect, I think the time is now. I think you have pampered these people for so long. I think we have to be very decisive and we have to go hard. Otherwise, we would have lost the fight against Galamsey.
Right. Thank you very much, Kwame. We'll be trying to connect with Erastus Asari Donko to talk to him shortly. My team is trying to, once to get him, we would also bring him to get his view on the issues. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, I'll take Dr. Jalilu's position and ISHAQ's position on this issue before we move on to the next one. So let's take a quick break. We'll be right back after the break.
For decades, we have helped businesses connect with their trade partners all over the globe. From Ghana to Burkina Faso, Cote d'Ivoire, Benin, Togo, Senegal, China, Morocco, France, Netherlands, and many other countries. We have made it possible to bring Ghana to the world. We have brought small and medium businesses closer to their customers across the regions in Ghana with our SME support facilities. We have brought relief and smiles to the faces of families with our employee personal loans. With our cutting-edge technology and digital support, we take the burden of complex thinking off you, making life simple. That is who we are, as close as a partner. Bank of Africa. We are indeed the African bank with the global reach.
Tested, groomed, shaped, pushed to their limits until only the radiance rise. As the weeks go by, the pressure will rise because every task is crafted to mold raw gems into diamonds. This is not a fairy tale. To wear the crown and win the enviable prizes, one must have grace, and of course, your support through votes. One question lingers. Who will win and reign as the most radiant queen? Miss Malaika Ghana, the radiant season, showing this and every Sunday, 8:30 p.m. on GTV.
Of the UPSA at 60 celebrations warmly invite students, staff, alumni, and the general public to the UPSA at 60 Healthathon, a vibrant event promoting wellness, teamwork, and unity. Theme: Wellness in Motion, 6 decades of transformative education. Date: Saturday, 22nd November 2025. Time: 6 a.m. Venue: UPSA campus. Join us for health screening, free checks to keep you informed and empowered, aerobic sessions led by professional instructors to energize your morning, fun games, tug of war, sack race, and team relays to spark laughter and camaraderie. Come dressed in your UPSA at 60 t-shirts and comfortable sportswear, ready to move, connect, and celebrate. Don't miss out. Come celebrate 6 decades of transformative education. For enquiries, call 0244-220-106. UPSA, scholarship with professionalism.
Welcome back. Current agenda proudly sponsored by NPA and Bank of Africa. NPA says, do you suspect you did not get the right amount of fuel? Do you have issues about the quality of fuel you bought? Or did you experience bad customer service at the filling station? Don't stress. The National Petroleum Authority is here to assist you. Reach out to their call center on 0302 550 380. or feel free to walk into their head office located at JALILU of the N1 highway or any of its regional offices to make a complaint or inquiry. If you experience any of the issues I mentioned earlier at any filling station, you have up to 48 hours to report it. NPA, where customer service or where customer care meets excellence. Bank of Africa understands that we all need some financial quick fix every now and then, whether it is school fees, replacing the old refrigerator, or fixing the car engine to get back on the road. The quick fix loan package was made with you in mind. Seize the opportunity and let your soft times make way for the soft life you've been dreaming about. Visit any Bank of Africa branch near you today and enjoy unbeatably low interest rates, flexible terms, and straightforward application process. Call Bank of Africa on 0302-429-333 or 0302-249-690 or chat with Fafa on at www.boaghana.com for more information. Remember, terms and conditions apply. Bank of Africa, as strong as a group, as close as a partner. Right. So I understand I have Erasmus on the line. Erasmus, good morning.
Good morning. My name is Erasmus.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. Forgive me. Erasmus, good morning once again.
Good morning, boss.
I hope you are doing well.
Jehovah is looking over me.
Right. One of my panel members says something that is even the major reason why we are contacting you. We in the recent development story that we heard, that the EPA, 3 officers of the way, one of the cars ran into another car, and some of the media personnel are actually at the hospital right now receiving care, some undergoing surgery. And you came to mind that with all this that you are doing, now it looks like the people that we seek to protect are rather coming after us. And you being one of the forerunners, if not the most amongst them, we felt to talk to you to see how you feel, knowing that now journalists are not being spared in this civilian embodiment.
Well, let me set something straight. There are 2 things in this particular incident that are separate from each other. The first is that, yes, the team, the EPA team and the media team, they have signals indicating that the community was going to attack them because people started passing up. It happened when they had bent one excavator, and in this sense, they asked the gentleman to remove the excavator from the water body. He refused. And they asked him that if he has not removed the excavator from the water body, they were going to burn it. He still refused. And so they bent it. Now, they went to the second site, and they asked the gentleman to come and remove the equipment, and they did. And so they did not bend it. And that created some animosity from the first group, that you have bent the excavators and you are leaving years untouched. Anger started building up. And so they sensed in danger, they had to leave. But they did not leave through the same channel that came. They went through another route, the Ayamfree Road. But I must say that it wasn't because of the attack that they got the accident. Because if you look at the journey, the accident happened at Afari. Afari is just close to Kumasi. So they were almost home when the driver, according to my boys, lost brakes and had that accident. So these are 2 separate incidents. Yes, the people were planning to attack them, but they had escaped and they were almost in Kumasi when the accident occurred. So it's purely an accident that got them immediate. And as I speak with you, yesterday, one of them, OG, who is a camera technician, was expected to have surgery yesterday. This moment, I've not checked whether after the evening, he has not had the surgery yet. He has a broken thigh bone.
If you can hear me, And so I listened to the EPA boss, and I'm hearing you also. And I hear you say that they are two different issues. But again, I mean, my lawyers would indicate that if not for the said attack that the people were coming, they would not have fled. The EPA boss indicated that when they were returning, they got information from the national security that the people had masked up on the route they were using the same route back, and so they should not use that route. And so they used another route, and according to her, the national security van or car in front of them was running at top speed. I'm quoting her words. And so they were also following in that convoy. And the last car eventually had a head-on collision with a Galamsey car, which probably is not related to this. But the point is that yes, you want to say that there are two different things, but one led to another. If not for the fact that they heard that some people were massing up to attack them on site, would they have decided to leave the rate at which they did to have had that accident?
Well,
so the cause and effect cannot be that remote.
Yeah, I'm saying this because, the facts are facts. In fact, if you look at the journey from Boise all the way to Aferi, it's quite a very long journey to have come that length and had an accident. Aferi is just close to Kumasi. After Aferi, you're getting to Kumasi. So I must say that yes, if you say from that angle that they would have taken a different route or the normal route that they took, yes. But it's because of that incident that they decided to take a different route. But they had really come very far, almost home, when they had the accident. But that said, there is that issue of mob attack. People willing to take the law into their own hands to face off with legitimate security agencies. It is getting way too much, and we have to deal with it. Because it happened in Manso, you remember, when the IGP's task force was attacked, the community people, the Galamsey people, massed up and started pelting them with stones. And it took a lot of bravado from them and professionalism to be able to still carry on with their duties and cut the excavators they seized from that area. Then it happens in Whittium, where the people were willing to mass up at the police station and were willing to burn down the police station and even destroy vehicles belonging to a legitimate task force of government. So when you look at it that way, and you look at the fact that the EPA team, now the people were ready and ready to attack soldiers who are armed. I am, in fact, advising that they should go prepared, that they are going to meet resistance, and when they meet the resistance, they should know what to do and they should be prepared for it. Any task force that is going out should be prepared from today, that they will meet resistance and they should be willing and ready to meet that resistance. It's the only way that various agencies tasked with anti-Galamsey fight will be able to stamp their authority and continue with their good job.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Erastus. Thank you, and we would encourage you to keep up the good work. We know it's not easy where you find yourself, but we are with you in spirit, in prayers, and we know that together we would achieve what it is that we've set out to do. Thank you very much for your time this morning. Right, so back in studio, Counsel. Now, my question to you mainly.
Yeah.
When Kwame was speaking, Kwame spoke about the MPP trajectory, the things that happened before.
Yeah.
I know if I give you an opportunity, you also speak about what happened before NPP.
Okay.
This partisan and this politicization of Galamsey, isn't what is killing us? Can we all not put away the party colors, the blue, green, red, white, whatever color, put it aside.
Thank you.
And let's tackle it as Ghanaians because our sustainability as a people is at stake.
Thank you. I think I largely agree with you. But before I develop on per agreement with you, allow me the opportunity
to do politics.
To just clarify something. It's not going to be politics. Having seen the videos on the screen, we said earlier the way the military and the other police services was doing things with impunity, there's a need to provide training and also prosecute. But we're not saying that at all times they are always wrong. If you see this video that we have seen, it brings to mind individual rights to self-defense, of which, of course, we'll always support them that they should be guided with proportionality and necessity. Once your life is under threat, these two principles can be deployed to defend yourself. So we are not saying that let's tie their hands at the back when they are dealing with people. While they have social contract to protect the people equally have the same social contract to make sure that we do not visit them with harm. So let's clarify that before we come. Okay, so when it comes to Galamsey, I agree with you that we need to take a national approach to it, a collective approach. But this is where politics come in, because we have to still visit the past a little bit. If you look at the politics in 2024, Galamsey was at the center stage. The NDC abused that problem and said it was Akufo-Addo's problem. And that remove Akufo-Addo, the problem would be solved. They said they had a plan. I remember somewhere in November when organized, we were in an election year. Declaring state of emergency was unwise because it will lead to other problems that we might not envision. But when it comes to money in the forest reserve, he was prepared to suspend it and said, when Parliament reconvened, he will ask them to suspend it. The NDC says that organized labor was gone, that they were bribed. And that suspension, the state of emergency was needed. I remember hearing Honorable Haruna Idrisu, who is now the education minister, urging for a state of emergency, and other ministers. And Mahama said, give me 4, that it was an Akufo-Addo problem to deal with. And when I became president, he needed just 4 months to change the whole thing. So when it comes to Galamsey, for me, I said the NDC team that we have now, they are con. They con Ghanaians in 2024. Now, when the Ghanaian, we are now talking about it. You kept referring to the past. The past is now memory. The NPP failed, I admit. We failed to resolve the problem. This was why we were penalized. This is why we have moved to opposition. So how can you be making reference to the past? How can you be making reference to the past when you said we needed to elect you and you resolved the problem? And if you look at when President Mahama was engaging the public, look at the cavalier attitude he was taking to it. He had no appetite to fight it. It's like they had no plan put in place. They were just saying anything to win the election. Look at the policy incoherent. The Minister of Interior made it very clear that when they arrest foreigners engaged in Galamsey, they were going to deport them. Why would you deport foreigners? This is why there is a large number of foreigners coming in. After all, when you do Galamsey in Ghana, from the Minister of Interior perspective, all that we would do is to deport you.
And you come back to illegal sources. They'll come in again.
And then he said that when they go home, they are going to prosecute them. If it is your problem, you are failing to deal with it. Why should a foreign country deal with your problem for you? You have no appetite to deal with it. So that policy incoherent is one. What happened to the suspension of the mining, the license in mining in forest reserve? And then when you come, you said MPP was giving it like candy. Then if it was a problem, solve it. When you were celebrating your 90 days, we thought this was one of the problems, one of the things we'll be celebrating. And we told you this were a low-hanging fruit that you were celebrating. When it comes to the heavy lifting, you fail in that regards. Look at the mining in forest reserve. What happened? They're still promising that they were going to deal with it. And then when it comes to declaring the state of emergency, you said it was equivalent to ecocide and that the life of the nation was at stake. And almost 9-10 months now, if the life of the nation was at stake, and when you were pushed, President Mahama only act when he's pushed, when there's fire on his feet. When there's fire on his feet, what is his response? That, oh, he still have a lot of tools in the toolbox to use before such an emergency. Why didn't you deploy those tools when you took over on 7th January? What have you been doing? So it's like he has no appetite. And when he was pressed on about the state of emergency, in fact, he made me depressed that day. He painted a hopeless picture that if we were even to declare, and my understanding was that Ghana doesn't have the capacity to even deal with the situation when we even declare state of emergency. Because he said the security services were tied elsewhere. So if they are tied elsewhere, it tells me that if we declare state of emergency, we can't do it. It's not only that there was no advice urging him to do that. Even if that advice were to be given, we might not be able to deal with it because the security services' hands are tied elsewhere. So for me, the lack of appetite to deal with this problem, and other people have insisted that the success of the gold board includes illegal miners' products, even though they have denied it. But the question is, where is the lack of motivation coming from to deal with the issue? Because there seems to be lack of motivation. I think almost everybody in this panel have agreed that there's still, I think he illustrated there were two areas we could look at it. Either there are people who are well connected in politics, who have invested interest in it, and therefore they have no appetite. So I think we all largely agree this is the issue.
Yeah.
And why should that be an issue? So for me, if the way forward is for him to apologize and agree with the MPP and all other stakeholders that earlier, that they said the perfect definition of madness is consistently doing the same and expecting different results. It's like what we have been doing over the years, it's not working. And I understood Brazil had a similar problem. They managed to resolve it. Apparently, South Africa also had a similar problem. They managed to resolve it.
Right.
What stops us from learning from them? After all, the Chinese have a proverb that only fools learn from their mistakes. Other people have made mistakes for you to learn from. So if people have managed to resolve it, what stops us? What stops us is because the NDC, when they were in opposition, they have no plan.
Right.
They are just doing the old ways of doing things. And I strongly believe that they are benefiting from it. Otherwise, he said we should give him 4 months. Now, we are now in the 9th, 10th month.
Maybe the 4 months, what he meant is if he starts, it will take 4 months. So he didn't say maybe the first 4 months. Let's give him a benefit.
So what's something from starting?
So, Dr. Jalilu, just 2 minutes on this particular issue, then we can move to the next one. Now, I hear my panel members, I heard Professor ABAVARE ask that the state of emergency is now needed more than ever. Again, I hear them talk about the fact that these Galamseyers are emboldened and have some ammunitions that nobody can think about. Now, if we have a state of emergency and these people are made not to go to the site, these are people who are now going to carry arms and stay at home. What then becomes of our safety?
Right, thank you very much. The issue is that, yes, if a state of emergency is declared, it could help under certain conditions. One, declaring a state of emergency will allow the government to mobilize resources more rapidly, deploy security forces to hotspots, suspend certain bureaucratic or regulatory impediments that will allow the government to be able to do certain things, all right? Already, we have a forward command center, which is the Naimos, okay? But like my friend Emmanuel, apart from the Naimos, I think the expectation was that they will establish, other centers in the hotspot, okay, which hasn't been done. So if you have a state of emergency, it could send a strong signal of seriousness and urgency, thereby increasing difference, or maybe deterrence of illegal operators, right? It might also allow for quicker revocation of mining licenses, seizure of equipment and all that. So already some of these are the other security implications, which is very, very important because, and that is also one of the reasons why the government is not, at the moment, pushed on pressing on the emergency powers, or maybe declaring a state of emergency. Now, if you look at it, I mean, let's be frank, if you, okay, for now, to the extent that you have people, right, non-state actors, okay, engaging or somehow repelling the state security, it means that we do not want you from this place. So if that happens, it means that we are moving gradually towards what we call the ungoverned spaces. So it means that the state should be absent. Virtually, that is what the people are saying, because we expect the state to protect us. Now, the same security that is supposed to protect us, we are, I mean, engaging them directly, non-state actors with guns and what have you. In my view, the state must assert itself, okay? Even though the state is come to play. But I believe that looking at where we are going at, when I heard the president giving us reasons why maybe they are still listening, because there are some of those activities are unfolding, they are doing A, B, and C in order to get there. But when we are getting to a situation where non-state actors can engage or even tell state security, military, that we do not need you here. And it is not just an isolated situation. If you look at, I mean, the illegal activities from Takoradi coming to Obuasi, okay, from Ayamfuri through the Njibuasi and all that, it's a very wide area. It's very, and you have local complicity in it. Chiefs are part of it. You have and other, sometimes even there are some other, security within those areas that are also aiding it. So there is that kind of complicity and corruption in that, okay? So to me that it's a very difficult situation, but if the state does not assert its authority, because we do know that it is only the state that has the capacity to be able to, deploy, to be able to use force. For individuals, we can only use force under certain situations, okay? But it is not in this situation, because the state has, sent military there to ensure, to drive people away from water bodies and all that. And people are organizing and massing up. If we want to wait, because the other strategy is the alternative livelihood, okay? But the point is that, should we wait until we're able to provide all those things before we get people out of it? Okay, I think that we must implement, it's a dual strategy that we must implement. Looking at the kinetic, measures, that is the military element, okay, which Naimos is supposed to do, but I think that Naimos should be well equipped. They need to look at their logistical situation and all the equipment and everything that they have, so that they'll be able to fight it effectively. But if you don't do that, then it means that the state, will lose. Today, like, ISHAQ said that even though the gold board and communicators came and said that no, they are not buying, gold board is not buying gold, all right, and all that, they have licensed people. But the issue is that the government or the gold board is not able to determine where these licensed buyers are buying their gold from. And once the Galamsey activity is still going on, it means that there is a market for it. Someone is buying their gold. Someone is buying their gold. So who is buying their gold? Already, because the law, the gold board law says that you cannot buy gold directly. It is illegal. Okay. So who is buying the Galamsey gold? So I think that is a motivation. So that is the motivation. That's why people are still engaged in it. So in my view, I think that the state needs to, these are the two strategies they still want to implement are good, the kinetic measures and non-kinetic measures. But for now, the non-kinetic measure, that's the alternative livelihood so far, they are yet to roll, okay, whatever program that they have. And I think that is why the EPA and then the other staff were there, and then they were involved in this. Right, so the other aspect also, my problem is where people can drive military away. Okay, so I think that, and now Prof earlier talked about if you look at the organized crime, if you look at the Galamsey areas, there are so many people that are coming from neighboring countries that are involved in gold. And there are some other people who have also fled some of our internal conflicts here, right, in this country, that are also in those forests. So if you look at the weapons that people are having and all that, if we do not address this security situation, it's a security problem, it's a security crisis, and the government must be very firm on this.
Right.
So if the government is going to the state of emergency, in my view, I think that that to be good. If the government thinks that state of emergency is still not at the moment, they are not looking at that perspective, then it means that they must increase the military presence in those areas. So I think that what they are having now, in my view, will not help us to be able to obliterate the kind of insecurity that is breeding in the mining or the illegal mining areas.
Right, Doc. Thank you very much, Doc. We are a bit behind time, but we would move into our next topic. So within a week, we had the president indicate that the National Intelligence Bureau had submitted a report on the 13th All-African Games to the presidency, and the president has ordered the Auditor General to conduct a comprehensive forensic audit. The focus or the review is to focus on 3 key areas. Number 1, procurement and contracting processes, to examine the tender procedures, selection of contractors and suppliers, and compliance with the Public Procurement Act as amended. 2, the financial management and expenditure control, reviewing funding sources, disbursement, expenditures, and sponsorship arrangements. And the 3rd one, infrastructure and project delivery, assessing project timelines, cost variations, and value for money, outcomes of works executed for the games. Now, Kwame, I'll start with you. Maybe we'll just do 3 minutes on this because we are far behind. We are on time. If we say they should do forensic audit, what exactly is the president asking them? Because we all saw the games. It was nice. All of us are happy, Ghanaians. For a very long time, this has come. When we say the forensic Auditor General is supposed to do a forensic audit, what exactly is being asked of the Auditor General?
Well, I think that essentially is to do an overarching audit on expenditure, the management and control of same, and then bring a report, as to whether there was value for money. Essentially, that is what it is. Now, clearly, and let me backtrack a little, on 27th of August 2024, I'm on record to have petitioned the Office of the Special Prosecutor to investigate this matter, because I found it very troubling that we could spend $15 million on food. That we could spend so much on the refurbishment of some existing hostels and some existing, football fields. I found it very curious, that we spent so much for an event that was not supposed to cost so much. The total budget was around $245 million. And if you look at the disbursements, you would be surprised. And again, you would notice that the people who even got the contracts to cook and to refurbish those things was also very curious. I mean, that the person who got a contract for the food allegedly was Bediatu's wife. That was clear conflict of interest. So I thought that, we were supposed to investigate so that in the final analysis, we would be able to arrive at a definitive conclusion as to whether there was value for money. Because you see, we are not talking about small monies here. Millions of dollars. And sometimes when you hear the money and they mention, $100,000, you may think it's 100,000 cedis. It's not 100,000 cedis. $100,000 is over 1 million Ghana cedis.
$1 billion.
Yeah, 1 billion Ghana cedis.
100,000 is times zero.
Yes.
So 0 plus.
Yes.
I mean, that's 1 million. 1 million
Ghana
plus.
Cedis. 1 million plus Ghana cedis.
Ghana cedis, yes.
Do you know what 1 million plus Ghana cedis can do?
A lot in this country.
In this particular instance, we are looking at 15 million. Bro, $15 million for food. For how many days?
That's 150 million Ghana cedis.
For how many days? In my area, the roads are terrible. And if you look at the stretch, the $150 million will even be, an overpriced budget for it. I was fortunate to have partnered Alan Chematin in the last elections as a running mate. And I was fortunate and privileged to go around the country, I came into close contact with the plight of the people. Kojo, you will get to a community where all they need is borehole, nothing more, nothing less, borehole, so that they can have potable water to drink. You get to communities and all they need is nice looking KVIP, small one within the community where the people can access. Kojo, they don't have it. Kojo, there were communities that I visited that did not have light. In 2025, they don't have light. In communities, the road was so bad that when people were pregnant and they were going to deliver, most of them died on the way because of the poor nature of the roads. This is the reality we are faced with. And then you award a contract of $15 million. Why? 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 And people are suffering. So look, I think that it is not enough that we do all of these public account committees and all of those things, and we are, introduced to the kind of thievery that happens within our institutions. It's not enough. I think, you see, and again, maybe I work with lawyer my colleague on this one, that we need to get the Auditor General to have prosecutorial powers. Because you see, the point is that they have the evidence, first-hand evidence, and they will be able to better represent themselves or present their case than any other institution. Yes, the Attorney General and all of that. You see, we must begin to get people to account for their stewardship.
I have 4 minutes to close.
So
let me come to
you. No problem.
Lawyer ISHAQ. And so all these things that have been spoken about is when your government was in power.
Yes, yes.
This was a time we were being told that Ghana does not have money.
Yes.
Now, from all the things we are hearing, indeed, Ghana had money. Okay. It was just that we're not using our money well.
Okay. I'm not sure whether I will agree with you, but the point I want to make is that if you have opportunity to serve, you should know that one day you'll be asked to account. So I am sure that having given those people the opportunity to serve, there's nothing wrong with the president asking them to come and account for their stewardship. What that we ask as members of the MPP and as concerned Ghanaians, it doesn't matter whether the person is an MPP member, NDC member, or whatever. The Constitution under the 1995, Chapter 5 in particular, 1992 Constitution, Chapter 5 in particular, have provided certain safeguards. So they've given the executive powers to deal with those things. And we saw it wise to include Chapter 5 to say that have regards to those safeguards, because we don't want a system that will run in such a way that when the guilty is exonerated, then they are completely tarnished. I quite understand the amount of figures that you are mentioning, and we'll all agree that they are huge amounts. But then we are not told about the activities that they were used for. So those people actually overestimated, or perhaps certain instances they can be underestimated. So for me, I don't have problem with that. Right. But the media trial is where some of us have concerns. And when you say that, it's like you are shielding people who have done wrong. No, because we don't want people to be convicted through the media. Because even the prosecution, you will all agree with me, even if those individuals were not to have lawyers, the prosecutor should conduct his case in such a way that even the innocent will be exonerated, assuming they are not able to hire their own lawyers. So the safeguards is where I will just talk. Otherwise, there's nothing wrong with calling people to account.
Okay. KOTIN.
In fact, because of time, I will end this way. Corruption has become a serious national security threat to our democracy. That corruption is endemic. It's now a battle of who carries the trophy. NDC says, under this government, you did worse. And MPP says, under NDC, you did worse. As a country, how did we even come to this level? If we have very deterrent laws and institutions in place,
laws. Activation is
implementation, we don't.
Right.
And you see, if you look at the games in particular, the highlight I was not even particularly happy was the banter between your Director General and the Minister. The Minister claimed they gave GBC 30 million, eh? 30 million, people are rich. But the Director General says
to pay to somebody.
Director General says he has the records. Yes. It's 100 and something thousand. 8,000.
The minister clarified that it was GTV that directed them to pay to external partners.
But the man came to essentially, corruption has become a canker, eating our democracy. With those who are not privileged enough to come from the rural areas, suffice to say our roads, our hospitals, our schools, even the Agenda 111 programs that were not completed. These are alleged allegations and what we are hearing. If it turns out to be true, then the democracy will lose its steam in this country. We need a lot to do to bring people's trust into this experiment. I think we need to get our own system of democracy, a benevolent dictatorship kind of, that fits the African model, like we are witnessing in Burkina Faso.
There's about 4,000 and, let me see, 4,000 plus contracts, projects that currently the finance ministry is looking into and asking the contractors to present their certificates for validation before, and so these are all issues.
Projects which were not executed.
Right.
That I can tell you.
So, Dr. Jalilu, please pardon me for I'm just, it's 10 o'clock, I need to be taking off. I apologize for not coming to you on your take on this. If you promise me that you'll be available next week, I promise to come and take your view, but please forgive me. Thank you very much, Lawyer ISHAQ. Thank you, KWAME. Thank you, KOTIN. Thank you to Professor ABAVARE also. Bank of Africa, thank you for the sponsorship. NPA, thank you for the sponsorship. For all our viewers that sent your comments that we were not able to read, please forgive us. Keep them coming and keep being interactive on our various platforms. Okay.
It's very good for us.
Okay.
They said the National Anti-Illegal Mining Operations Secretariat, Naimos, have carried out a massive dawn operation in the eastern region, leading to the arrest of 36 suspected illegal miners at OWUSU in the Fentia South District. Those arrested include 32 Nigerian nationals and 4 Ghanaians. So you see what we are saying?
Right. You see, so,
you see where it's going?
When they are killing a Ghanaian,
man,
don't kill you.
Definitely. So let the discussions continue in your homes. We'll continue here, so continue.